She's a firefighter. So, what was it like working in a male-dominated environment?
Challenging, but I like a good challenge.
Did they treat you differently because you were female?
At first, my first fire department that I was in, my dad was in. He was a member for 27 years when I joined, and I grew up with them at that firehouse. They were all like my uncles. So when I got there, they didn't want me to get hurt, because I was their niece. I loved them, they loved me. And then after I went through the academy, and I graduated almost the top of my class at the academy. And when I got back to my old fire department with the chief and the officers, I got a little bit more recognition. When I got here, my real name is Hollis. So when they were introducing me, one of the older gentlemen said he mispronounced my name, so it was Horace. So, Horace Gilbert. So when I walked in, jaws went and hit the floor because I was a girl. Was it hard? A little bit, but I proved myself.
Did you feel that you had to work harder than the other men who were there?
I always feel like I have to prove myself, but that's with anything that I do. I always try my hardest. I always give 110%, and that's what I tried to instill on my boys, my kids. If you don't give 110%, it's not even worth doing.
Were tests or assignments maybe different because you were female? Like, did they have to modify anything?
Not at all. Did I get anything modified? Absolutely not. I wouldn't want that, because, no.
Do you think you've seen more females come into the department?
Absolutely. Girls they're not taking over, but I think they have a little bit more guts to do it.
I have heard about how your company has something called Elevate. Would you mind explaining it?
I think that maybe it was, we'll say roughly 10 people, 5 to 10 people. And they just started meeting, on a regular cadence, just on a regular basis, to discuss challenges, to share best practices, and just to be a support system for one another. And I think that it just organically, people started to come into the fold, if you will. And maybe somebody in HR heard about it and started inquiring and realized the overall benefit of it and started putting more structure around it. So now we have over 200 members, and this is only about 5 years ago that this started. So we're a global company, and we have folks around the world who are looking to duplicate this in their countries.
So I take it that you're a member. How did you join, or why did you join?
I was really impressed with the topic, the discussion, the engagement of the group, and just asked how I could be more involved. The chair and one of the founding members had a life event. She had a baby, and she was the one who was in charge of all the monthly calls. So while she was out, she asked me to step in, and from there it just kind of stuck.
What do you plan to do with Elevate? What do you plan to accomplish with it?
Yeah, so our mission is to elevate women and elevate one another at Ipsen. And since I've been a part of Elevate and had a voice with Elevate, one of the things that I've really tried to do is integrate participation from our male colleagues. So up until then, there have been a small number of male colleagues who were involved, but not many, and it wasn't really intentional to reach out and get them involved. So if you're talking about having a conversation about how to get women to the table and into the C-suite and the equality of women in the workplace, sitting around as a group of women talking about that's not going to move the needle. You have to have male sponsorship to get there. So you have to have males in the room in that conversation to agree to that and be supportive of it. So when I came on, I decided that I wanted to be intentional about our topics on a monthly basis that would be inclusive of male colleagues and get more involvement and more participation.
Do you talk to your daughter about these topics?
all the time. Yes. So this is something I'm really passionate about. I really wish that I'd had somebody talking to me about this early on when I first, was coming close to getting into having a career and in the workplace. I am very fortunate that along the way I've had wonderful mentors, male and female, and so I've been really blessed in that way, and I have learned a lot from them. And from that, I've kind of, that's where my passion has come from, in making sure that I'm helping other women. It's not a handout; it's a hand up. It's just making sure that, you're not being selfish with the opportunities you have. You're sharing that knowledge with others so that they have similar opportunities as well.
That's always good to see people like being the change that they didn't have.
That's right.
Hi, I'm Emma, interviewing my mom, who's a lawyer. How does it feel to be a woman in a more male-dominated profession?
Well, when women first became attorneys back in the early 30s, maybe late 30s, it was very male-dominated. The first woman that worked at the Corporation Counsel was a graduate of Columbia University, and she was actually in the first graduating class. She worked for the law department for 70 years before she retired, and when she first took her first lawyer job, she actually wasn't even paid because they felt that she had to prove herself. Being a lawyer has changed a lot over the years. Now, today, there's probably more women attorneys than there are men. But I think men still dominate the pay scale, and they still dominate the positions of more power, as in partners and whatnot. Women also are severely handicapped in advancing in their careers because of raising children and working part-time and different things like that. So I would say it's more male-dominated in the types of ranks that men hold in different positions in law firms.
Would you say you're treated differently?
Unfortunately, fortunately for me, I actually had a very good boss who happens to be a female attorney, and she made it very easy for me to raise a family and continue my career, even though I actually worked part-time for a number of years. But I would say there are a lot of male counterparts that are able to hold managerial positions where I was not able to, working part-time. As a result of that, they made more money. They, advanced up on the ladder of, senior counsel positions. So I would think that would be where the difference is between what I've done and what my male counterparts have done.
Was it easy being a mom and working?
I actually worked part-time, mostly from home, for a number of years. So it actually was very easy for me to do that. As you know, I was here a lot, when you were in school, and I was able to balance working. I do like 4 or 5 hours a day over 5 days a week. So drop you off at school, and then I would work, and then by the time you were done with school, I was able to pick you up and do all those fun things we did after school. So for me, I was able to balance it. Not everybody is able to do that. I would say, as the years have gone on, there have been a lot more flexible work arrangements where, unfortunately, it's more critical this day and age for moms to work, have 2 incomes. So I would think a lot of companies, especially now after COVID, people work remotely, people work from home. So it's easier to raise a family. But again, going back to the fact that I had a family and worked part-time prevented me from actually becoming a manager and getting a higher pay.
Do you talk to your kids about women empowerment?
Yes, I always tell my kids that they can do anything they want to do. They're not limited in certain professions. If there's, a particular job that might be more male-dominated, it doesn't prevent you. You just have to be really good at what you do and confident.
Being a woman mayor, do you feel like you get treated differently than guys do? don't think I get treated any differently than any other guys. I think everybody still works together, and I don't think there's a big difference between men mayors and women mayors.
Being a mom and having to juggling work, do you think that it's a challenge?
Sometimes that actually is a challenge. There's a lot of events we have to go to. So the difference being, I think if a man is going to an event, he just goes. If a woman and a mom is going to an event or a meeting or something, they have to get home, cook the dinner, and get everything ready before they go to an event. So in that respect, it's a little different trying to juggle everything and your responsibilities in the household.
And do you have a message for the young woman today?
Go for it. Just do it. You don't have any boundaries. Don't let people tell you that there is disparaging between women and men. If you fight for it, if you want it, it's yours. Just go for it, and don't let anybody tell you that you're not worthy of it.
It's probably the same message I tell my kids. They can pretty much do anything they want, not to be hampered, not to be discouraged. Speak up for yourself and never give in to a male boss if he's, putting too much pressure or demanding more hours. There has to be a good balance between work life and home life. So I would say, you can do anything a man does in any profession.
Be a fountain, not a drain. So give, don't just take. So be a fountain, not a drain. That's one of my mottos. And never be the smartest person in the room. You always want people in the room to be smarter than you, so that you are learning all the time and growing all the time. If you're the smartest person in the room, then you probably just need to leave that room. Mm-hmm. And I think it's super, super important to always start very early building a network of men and women who are going to be able to be a resource for you, that you can be a resource for. Again, it's be a fountain, not a drain. So you don't always want to be taking, you want to give as well. But build that network, start building it early and work that network. And, on a give and take, don't just take. So when you're able to give back, do that.